How you doing, guys?
Hey, Chevy.
We talked early in camp about what makes defenses work is reliable coverage and good pass rush. What have you seen to make you think both areas are sort of unproven? I guess what makes you think hope? I don't know what the word is that this is going to be good enough.
Well, I mean, we've seen playmaking ability, whether it's in the joint practice with Chicago and Philly or against our guys. So you're counting on that. They make plays in practice, and you want to see that carry over to the field. So, I think that there are some unknowns. How will guys respond? Playing together for the first time in real live games. That count. But we really base it off what we've seen in practice.
From what you've seen so far, I mean, there's probably no better test game or week one than Jacksonville. These guys that look to be loaded.
Yeah, they are very, very talented at all positions. Really good at the receiving core. Obviously, the added Ridley, and that makes them dynamic. And there's a lot of unknowns. You're going off of preseason and, some of the times when he played at Atlanta to get a feel for him. But, the back and obviously the quarterback, they've got really good skilled positions, that can really be very explosive. I know a couple of preseason games, I think it was Dallas, they had like 12 explosive plays. So they have that ability to get big plays, and it's through a variety of guys. I think they do a good job of trying to make sure everybody gets their touches.
One more from me, and I'll leave you alone. Where have you seen the growth with Trevor Lawrence?
You know what? I think we played him first time in the last season, and he made really good decisions. He got the ball out quick, took what the defense gave him, and I think now you're seeing him grow where he's more, confident in what they're asking of him. He still makes very good decisions. I mean, he's really strong, can make any throw. We were talking about that before because there were some unknowns a little bit from us last year playing him, and now there's a lot of knowns. You know what he can do. He has shown the capabilities of bringing a team back, in games, and he just plays with a lot of poise right now.
Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Raven.
We hear so much about the youth on the defensive side of the ball. So how beneficial do you think it is to go up against an offense like Jacksonville that has these guys? And like you mentioned, they always find a way to get the ball out to them.
Right. Well, I think that, you value going against a team like Jacksonville or any team in the league that's as skilled as they are, because you want to find out where you are fast, and then have a chance to improve from there. So this will be a good test for us. I mean, with our younger guys, seeing where they're at, on the perimeter, on the back end. But, we're playing with a lot of confidence right now. I think the confidence comes from trusting that everybody knows what they're doing. And that's where we're going to, play Jacksonville with the idea of fast, physical, and we got to get the ball out. We got to get takeaways.
And do you feel like getting that space between the preseason and the regular season, having that extra week to prepare, do you think that helped aid in some of the confidence the players have?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can go, I don't know. I'm kind of a firm believer of you can practice too long for an opponent, where you practice 2.5 weeks. So we took advantage of that time just to go through some situational football, maybe some things we didn't get a chance to cover because we didn't see them in practice from the opposing teams or our team. So we just cleaned up some things. And sure, we talked about Jacksonville and we introduced some areas of them and gave them a glimpse of it. But now we're, full bore into it.
James.
Gus, one guy I feel like is kind of falling under the radar is Grover Stewart, just because he always does his job. But what does he mean to this defense, particularly, having so much change in the secondary and also to secondly, along with his play, the personality? How much does that help bring those guys together? Just knowing, I don't know if Grover's had a bad day.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? It's here we are game planning for Jacksonville, and obviously you watch your games from last year. And he can be very disruptive now, very disruptive. And when he's on, he's something to deal with. And, you see just by his physical play on the field. Now, his personality, you're right. He doesn't have a bad day. He's got tremendous respect from his teammates. They know exactly what they're getting from play in and play out. And to have that person at playing that position for us is truly, you're grateful for that. So he helps the team in so many ways. And it's not just the D-line, it's really everybody.
Joel. You guys played Trevor there, kind of early in the season. The way he played down the stretch, do you look at him now as like you're going against one of the, I know this word gets thrown around a lot, but like one of the elite quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think just because of his skill set, his height, his weight, his poise, his arm strength, his ability to see the field, to understand coverages, how to attack defenses, all those areas, I think he has grown tremendously. That I would say, if not now, in the near future, you're going to be talking about him in that same category.
The way they played in the back half of the season, does that mean you kind of have to not throw out, but you have to alter what you think of them based on what you play, based on coordinating 2 games against them last year?
Yeah, I think there's some unknowns, just because they've added personnel. They lost a good blocking tight end. How does that affect them? But they, gained a big time receiver. How does that affect them? So we're going to go into it with some unknowns, and that's where we're going to have to adjust as the game goes on if they do kind of switch their personality.
Kevin?
Gus, I remember you said back in the spring how much you wanted to get EJ Speed, just more reps, and even though it's hard to get a third linebacker, maybe consistently that. How do you try and do that when obviously you have Zaire and Shaq, but then a guy like EJ that you guys are clearly high on?
Right. We have to try to find a way to get him on the field, and if that means, this team will play some big personnel, so getting him on the field in some base, and then also he'll rotate in there at the will spot. So, we just got to take a look at it, how it all plays out towards the end of the week, who we have up as far as healthy and who's ready to go.
You see the same thing a little bit at safety with Nick Cross as well, as a guy that's kind of shown you a little bit more of like, okay, yes, you have Julian Rodney, but he's a guy you want to get on the field too.
Yeah, I think that, as time goes on, we're keep looking at the role he is. Obviously, the guys that are kind of in place for us are Rodney and Julian. So, but if someone needs a break or has to come out of the game, I don't think there's any where we're blinking or, hesitating to put Nick in.
Steven?
Hey, Gus. I'm wondering, with your own quarterback, with Anthony, obviously he has a dual threat style. And as a defensive coach, the more we start to see more of those types of quarterbacks around the league, how more accustomed are defenses to dealing with those? Or is it still a challenge, do you think, for defenses to deal with them?
I think that you're seeing more of it, but it's still a challenge because offenses before maybe had running quarterbacks and there's a few plays that you saw, and it was almost like wildcat. We got a quarterback running the ball. He's really like a running back. How do we get the extra guy in the box? But now you're seeing a wide variety of runs. So I think offense has kind of evolved as well and trying to find creative ways to get the running back, the quarterback to be able to run and based on looks. And it's, RPRs now, run, play action, and run, pass, and run, with the quarterback runs. So I think it's evolved. Maybe in the years past, it was more of a wildcat quarterback keep power type plays. But, you're seeing more diversity now.
Yeah.
A couple more. We'll go to Kevin.
Gus, obviously you saw Jacksonville a couple times last year, but do you seek out Jim Bob a little bit more this week, given the fact that, he came from that staff last year?
Yeah, I think teams, sure, you've had conversations. But really not as much as you would think. You be careful of that just because teams have changed and personnel have changed. So, I can remember when he first got here, we had conversations, but, since then he's heavy game planning. We're heavy game planning, and there might be a question or two more so about personnel, about, some of the strengths and weaknesses, what he saw more so than just scheme.
Last one, Joel.
Kind of following up on what Steven asked there about running quarterbacks and stuff. When you're going up against a team like your offensive staff is, where it's a new quarterback, it's a new staff, how much uncertainty does that create for a coordinator early in the season? I'm sure you've had situations like this where you're going up against stuff you haven't really we haven't really seen what Shane wants to do, you know?
Right. Well, I think, sometimes when you got a quarterback like that, you might try different things and just see how he handles it, and the different situations, because there is unknowns. How does he respond to a loaded front? How does he respond to pressure? How does he respond? All those you really don't have a lot of tape to watch. So, I think in the beginning stages, some coordinators will maybe try different things to see what's effective. And then as the season goes on, you kind of develop more of a personality. But you're right, it's very difficult, very difficult.